Well, good morning. I'm standing at a very important site that I didn't realize was kind of in my backyard. Okay, I'm at the grave site here of Prosper Alexander, and next to him is his wife. Pardon the noise. It's just that back in the day when Prosper Alexander was born, March 30th, 1785, this was all farmland. Now, this little cemetery is now at the corner of Route 12 and Route 101 in Killingly, Connecticut. Or actually, more accurately, it's called Dayville, Connecticut. Now, what's important about good old Prosper Alexander is that he was actually, even though he was born and raised in a farm family, he actually industrialized this area. He was one of the first people to build a spinning mill down in that area on a place called Whetstone Brook. Some of the mills is still there. So, again, he's noted for that. But he's also noted for something else. He was a abolitionist, also a known conductor for people seeking freedom on the Underground Railroad. Now, we don't have any exact information because remember, if you were caught, the penalties were severe back in the day. Where my finger's pointing down along over through where you can see the Coca-Cola truck or so. That's Route 12. Route 12 basically goes all the way from New London, Connecticut, all the way up into New Hampshire. Okay? Now, it's important to note that this was one of the routes that would go through here. And being a conductor, what he would do is he would conduct people to the next town over in the town of Putnam. Now, Putnam, we know that people would go further north, most likely on Route 12, which is the road I'm going to be traveling on today. And then there was also a split where it came to what is called the Dedham and Hartford Turnpike. That was a road that basically connected Boston and Hartford, Connecticut. Because don't forget that Hartford was an important way station for people seeking freedom, as well as Boston. Boston was a hub of people seeking freedom, as well as people who were living there as free people. There were attempts in the past by, marshals, and they weren't too successful in Boston because a lot of times the people rose up and drove them off. Okay, but I want to make note that this is one of the stops or sites. Now, his original farm is basically on the other side of that highway. It's now a big industrial business park, but at one time it was their farm, and also down the road he did have some mills. But again, he was noted as a conductor for people seeking freedom. Now, let's explore a little bit more about the route that these people took. Okay. This mile marker states 51 miles to Hartford, Connecticut. Now it says CH. Well, I don't know why they put that, but that's the way they cut stone back in the day. Often you'll see a letter U will be shaped in the form of a V. I'm assuming it would be because it was a lot easier. Now, I'm on what is known as East Thompson Road. As you can see, it's a modern paved road. And it's this was once a farm, but now it's a private residence. And as you can see up forward, there's my Jeep parked here. You can see that, and somebody's logging back there as well. You can see that it's very different than it was, say, 200 years ago. This was once part of the Hartford and Dedham Turnpike, and it was a direct route, as much as possible, from Hartford, Connecticut to Boston, Massachusetts. And we know historically, both Hartford and Boston were hubs of activity on the Underground Railroad. Now, according to some maps, this is actually a route that was taken by people seeking freedom. All right, let's explore this a little bit more. Okay. We're back. All right. Now, I'm on basically just off the it's East Thompson Road, but it's not. But it was once the Dedham and Hartford Turnpike, and there's this structure over here that was built a very long time ago. Okay. Sad to say, people kind of use it as a party spot, but you can see in here a lot of work was done to it. This was actually what is called the powder magazine during the American Revolutionary War. This is where the colonists and, basically the Continental Army stored their ammunition. Back then they used muzzle-loading muskets and rifles, as well as cannons. You had to basically put the powder down the barrel and then put your projectile down over that to take your shot. So it wasn't like, it's not the self-contained cartridges that we have in this day and age. So this was actually a spot that was, again, it was used as a means of storing powder during the American Revolution. Okay? Now, since it's still here, sometimes I wondered if this wasn't a place of shelter for people seeking freedom, because this would be right on the Dedham and Hartford Turnpike. Okay? Because don't forget, you could only, you had to travel by foot, or you had to travel by horseback or horse and buggy, and it would have to be at night. This would be a good hiding place. In fact, I don't think there's anything inscribed. Again, Revolutionary War, but it also could have been used as a potential hiding spot for people seeking freedom. Now, I want to show something else regarding the this route taken by people, again, seeking freedom from their chains of bondage. And it has to do with, like, the nature and danger of travel by horseback and buggy back in the day. All right, as I like to call it. All right, so stay tuned. We're actually gonna go right into Massachusetts. Okay. I'm at another location. I'm actually on what is called the Coffee House Loop Trail. And this may have some importance, but nobody's been able to really pin any historical evidence to prove or disprove. Okay? I'm actually at a location on this turnpike where there was a coffee house. It was a rest stop. I'm not sure if people could spend the night here. Something tells me this might be the actual coffee house. And you're probably saying, what do you mean by that? Well, it's a cellar hole. Something tells me this is, and there's also another one over here. Now, a lot of historical records are very, very iffy. This may have actually been the coffee house location where people halfway to Boston would stop for the night, refresh their horses, and hence term coffee, get a hot cup of coffee, which is so soothing after a long, cold journey on horseback. Because don't forget, unless you're very wealthy and have your own carriage, you would be exposed to the elements. So, like I said, one of the things that you would have to kind of keep in mind is, the journey was kind of arduous, especially if this was being done on foot. So, but again, there's really no hard evidence that this was the exact location. People for years have been trying to find it. Now, this would have looked much different long ago. Reason I say that is because you can see stone walls, but there's also trees all over the place. Farming wasn't as a good occupation in New England as it was in, say, the southern and western states. That's because of all these rocks. It's a common joke that when you plow the ground, you get more rocks than food out of it in New England. But the point that I want to make is this particular location I don't know if it was used as a rest stop for people seeking freedom. Something tells me I doubt it very much, because if you are a marshal trying to basically grab people running away, you would just have to wait in a certain location that's convenient. So in other words, you could probably hang out at the coffee shop and check wagons at night, when the guy went to bed or whatever. It was probably a lot safer to do the traveling for people seeking freedom. So, it's also noted that this location here, again, nobody knows 100% sure if this is where it is. I think it is, because it's the only cellar hole I know of in this one area within about a half a mile, believe it or not. So I figure it must be it. We're about to start going up a very tall hill, and that has significance because it also illustrates the danger of horse and buggy travel back in the day. Okay?